Pretty good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. Today is March the 11th. It's a Wednesday today. We do have core CPI at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's going to be the major news event, of course. We'll go over some charts, go over the levels, go over what we're looking for coming to market open. And then we'll wait for, of course, 8:30 and then develop our game plan from there. What's up, everyone? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Good morning, Victor. Good morning, TW, PI. Good morning, Wisdom. Hope you're doing well. Marcus, B Roots, Lamed, Andreas, Chris. Actually, one second. I think I have to let my cat in. Walter, stop. What's up, everyone? Good morning. I don't know about you guys, but my cat's actually really smart. If it wants to get let in, I have like a window really close by and he just jumps on it, which is kind of funny. Yeah, what's up, everyone? Good morning, Chris, Robert, I am, Kang Tone. Good morning, Cosmic, Cinna, Maria, Kendra, Moni, Saki, Ashley, Gerald, Todd, Benny, Julius, MF, Preston. Yeah, what's up, everyone? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. It's actually 8 p.m. for you. Yeah, it depends where you are. 8 a.m. for us. We did also have daylight savings as well. So if you are living across the world, right, it might have changed over the weekend. Okay, feeling my cat comes upon us and asks us to walk. Yeah, for sure. All right, let's go. Let's get right into the economic calendar for today. Let me pull this up. Show us your cat. Yeah, I've shown us the cat a few times. I guess I'll have to bring him in. All right, core CPI. So this is the major red folder news event coming into market open. We do have core CPI that is going to be at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So as I mentioned, we'll just mark out key levels coming to market open, and then after we do have core CPI, we'll kind of develop our game plan from there. That is going to be that major red folder news event. Trump is speaking later into the day. That this is going to be after close. We do have some more red folder news tomorrow. That's going to be unemployment at 8:30. And then, of course, on Friday, we have core PCE price index, prelim GDP, along with the JOLTS opening, which is going to be at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this is what we have for the economic calendar. As for some other news events that we had, we recently had Oracle earnings last night. Nice kind of beat on the earnings, up about 10% here. So we'll talk about that here in a second. But with that being said, let's hop right into the charts and exactly what we're looking for coming to market open here. We'll start off on the major indices and then we'll make our way towards the downside here. So let's go on to ES number one. Key levels that we have marked out on the ES. We can just kind of mark out our previous day lows. This is the area where we bounced from yesterday. Overnight session, nice kind of bounce coming into yesterday market open, and then a push up and towards one of our key levels, which was our 68.30. So as you can see here, overall markets ended up pushing up in towards our 68.30. Little bit of reaction off this level. And as you can see now in the pre-market and the overnight session, we're kind of just right back down in towards our previous day lows here, which happens to be our 66.70. So coming to market open here, of course, number one, we have to keep in mind that the ES is a little bit weaker than the Qs, which is actually a good sign for some upside here. But at least for today, key levels, let's just mark out that previous day highs essentially, along with our previous day lows, 67.70s. So if we do want to see some upside today, right, the bounce play off our 67.70s is needed for any sort of continued pushback towards the upside. Or of course, now we're going to be looking for longs above our essentially previous day high. It needs to reclaim back above this level here as well, which is going to be that 68.20. This is what we have for the ES long side. I personally like it above our 68.20 here, or the potential mean reversion off that 67.70s. If you do want to see a rejection, price can come up, potentially pop and fade right back down in towards that previous day lows, or now you'd be interested really in more shorts underneath that previous day lows for that continued push down in towards that 67 20s, which is essentially the area that we broke out from, or that we or that we had news a few days ago, with Trump announcing that the war is most likely coming to an end soon. So if we do break back underneath the 67.70, that is going to be one of your main targets towards the downside. As for the SPY chart, the key levels that we have coming into today, we can just refine this here as well down and towards that previous day lows. What we have coming into today is going to be our 680 along with our previous day lows 675. Yesterday, nice kind of bounce off our pre-market lows, nice push up in towards that 680, and then ultimately a little bit of rejection here off this level, right back in towards the middle of the range, which was more of a neutral close. Coming into market open here, key level is going to be that previous day lows as I mentioned, along with that 680. If we do want to see some upside here, bounce play off our previous day low for potential pushback up in towards that 680, or you'd be interested in longs above our 680 for this push up in towards our previous day highs and potentially above, which would be that 685. So these are the scenarios that I have for some upside here on SPY. If we do want to see some downside, potential pop and fade here off that 680, or as I mentioned, shorts are in play underneath that 675 previous day lows. If we can break underneath, hold underneath that previous day lows, we can be looking for a push down in towards that 670 here. So let's go on to the NQ, which is actually rejecting currently off our key level of resistance here on the higher time frames. And we're still basically inside of this range. So that is something to keep in mind. We do have core CPI, so we'll see how that reacts. So we'll see how the market reacts coming to market open. But basically for the NQ and the NASDAQ, let's just go into the daily chart here. As you can see, we are still inside of this tight range here. Within the past 3 to 4 weeks, we've been inside this range in the overall markets, on the NASDAQ, on the Qs as well. We're basically right in between the middle of the range. So coming to market open, what we're going to have marked out is, of course, the top of the range that we had, which was our last week's highs, which is this 25,200. So coming into market open here, this is the key level that I have marked out. We also have marked out your Monday's high here as well. So if we do want to see some upside, let me just kind of refine this level. We can now mark out your previous day lows as a key point of interest here as well. So I have a couple key levels to mark out. Number one, 25,050, along with our previous day lows, 24,900. If we do want to see some upside coming into market open here, either the bounce play off our previous day lows, something similar to the SPY chart, off our previous day lows 24,900, or now above our 25,050 for a pushback up and towards essentially this previous day high pivot point, 25,200. These are really the only long scenarios. We do have to be cautious because we are technically longing into a key level of resistance. The best longs, in my opinion, based off the hourly chart, are going to be the reclaim back above this 25,200, right? You could be looking for these dip ads, which is off our previous day lows, or now it would be above our previous day highs, which happens to be a higher time frame level of resistance here as well. If we're looking at this from the hourly time frame, of course, it could pop up, fade off this level for this rejection, since the market has been doing a lot more mean reversions as of late, or we can now be looking for shorts underneath that previous day lows. So if we go back onto the lower time frames, key levels that we do have marked out for some downside is going to be this 24,900. As I mentioned, break underneath, rejection, we can see some continuation all the way down in towards that 24,660. That's going to be the next really level of support on the higher time frames if we do break underneath that key level. Or let's say if price came all the way back up and towards that previous day highs, we could be looking for the rejection off this level, very similar to yesterday, for this pushback towards the downside. Okay, this is what we have for the NQ. As for the QQQ coming into market open, Key levels that we can have drawn out is that previous day lows once again, along with our 609. So very similar thesis here. If we do want to see some upside, previous day low bounce for that continued pushback towards the highs, or you'd be looking for above 609. Above 609, you have to be cautious just because we do have your previous day highs right above. Higher time frame, right? The best longs, of course, are going to be above that 613. If we do want to see some downside, as I mentioned, right underneath our previous day lows, 606 is going to be key. Or if price came all the way back up in towards that previous day highs, you could be looking for the rejection off that previous day highs, which is your 613 for this push back down in towards our previous day lows, 606. So this is what we have for the major indices coming to market open. Something to keep in mind here on the Qs is we're still ranging in between our 590 along with our 612. Yesterday came up into a key level of resistance here. So a little bit of reaction as you can see. And now we're right back closer to the middle of the range, which would be around your 604 here on the QQQ. So until we break outside this range, we're going to be looking for a lot more kind of rejections at resistance, bounces at support, until we can break above our 618 or break below our 590. We're just going to be a little bit more cautious on continuation trades just because there hasn't been too much continuation, of course, on the higher time frames and intraday as well, just because of the QQQ overall. Okay, now let's go on to some other names here. We'll head on to the SMH along with the IWM. We'll head on to some tech names before we have core CPI, which is in about 13 minutes. If you guys do have any charts or any tickers, you guys can now drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below as well. All right, for the SMH, as you can see here, this is the Semiconductor ETF, and this is the one that's actually bouncing nicely off a key level support here. Previous level of resistance turning to support, multiple bounces off this 372. That's why we saw some nice moves on a couple of these semiconductors yesterday. Nvidia, Intel, SNDK, MU, nice kind of bounce off the lows. I talked about these on the higher time frames as well. So for the SMH, one of the more bullish indices, of course, right? Qs kind of just consolidating the past 20-40 sessions. If you zoom out on the SMH, right, past 20-40 sessions and a nice pop, came back down into support. But if you zoom out just a little bit more, you can see we're still technically in this uptrend here on this daily time frame. If we do want to see some more upside here now on the SMH, the key level that we do have is going to be essentially that 404. That's going to be the exact level that we need to see reclaim. You can see a couple touches here, a couple touches yesterday as well. But key level on the higher time frames is going to be this general area, 404. If we do want to see upside, really need it above that 404. If we reject, we can see this push right back down in towards our 380s here. So for the SMH moving forward, the key level that we have marked out is going to be number one, our 406. You can also mark out that previous day highs in our 395. So coming into market open, let's keep an eye out on this 395. If you do want to see longs, bounce play here off this 395 for continuation. Other levels that we can have marked out here as well is going to be that pre-market highs. Above your pre-market highs, you can see now your previous day highs, 404. If we do want to see some downside here on the SMH, really now it's going to be the break underneath this 395, which is also your Monday's highs here as well. If we can break underneath, hold underneath that 395, potential room down in towards that 388. Of course, the SMH is a little bit stronger than the Qs and the SPY. So those both those indices would have to drop significantly for the SMH to pull back. As for the IWM, not really too much to talk about on this one, but it does look like we are kind of trying to reject here off our previous level of resistance that turned into support, now turning back into resistance. So if we reject off this 255 here, right? A pretty big upper wick here on the daily chart. Potentially you can see this mean reversion now back down in towards our low that we created here on Monday, which is at 244. So keep this in mind for the IWM. Now let's head on to Tesla. As I mentioned, if you guys do have any charts that you'd like me to go over now, you guys can drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like. Free daily watch list is in the description below. All right, let's head on to Tesla. Check the bid offer on Qs today before trading, as exchange issues yesterday made a nightmare. If PX looks wrong, leave it alone. That's interesting. Depending what broker do you use? It depends what exchanges. I personally didn't trade the Qs or I didn't take a look at the option chain yesterday. But yeah, make sure to do that, especially during this time. Expiration's key as well, right? With the VIX being elevated, right? If you don't look at the option chain properly, or right, if you're not aware of kind of the volatility, you can always trade futures as well until the market does calm down. Especially during the New York session, there hasn't been too much volatility, and a lot of the moves have been actually happening later into this session and during the overnight session as well. Okay, let's go on to Tesla. So as you can see here for Tesla, right in towards a key level of support here. Key level that we have marked out is this downtrend break here as well. You can see multiple touches, 380. What I want to see is this break of this trend line for this potential pushback towards the highs. So as you can see, a little bit of reaction yesterday right off our downtrend line. Now let's go back onto the lower time frames. What I personally like to see on Tesla, if we do want to see some upside, is now going to be the break above our previous high that we created here on Monday, along with our 408. So yesterday, Tesla longs were in play here above our previous day highs. But of course, once again, we didn't have too much continuation. Nice kind of bounce, but ultimately hit your 406. Didn't have too much continuation up and towards that 408, and then kind of stayed heavy and reversed back towards the downside. As for Tesla coming into market open here, let's keep an eye out on our 401 today. Above our 401, we can see this push back up and towards our previous day highs. Another possible scenario here is that bounce off our previous day lows, and then you could be looking for the reclaim back above later into this session. So the key area on Tesla here, 401 coming into market open here, Monday's highs. If you do want to see some downside, potential pop and fade, and a push down in towards our previous day lows, which is at 398. As for Tesla, I would like to see some continuation after this potential downtrend that we do have forming here. So another touch coming into Tesla once again. We are trying to break above this trend line, but currently another rejection. So multiple touches here. If we do want to see upside, need that strong break for a continuation. If we do reject, we can see that push back down in towards that 380 here once again. Let's go on to Nvidia. So Nvidia is the one that was leading the market back towards the highs with the SMH yesterday. A couple semis pushing up nicely here compared to the market, which ended up closing right on the day. Nvidia, a nice break above this 184. So that was the key level that we have marked out. 184. So moving forward on Nvidia, if we can maintain above this 184, you like to see this break, hold above for continuation higher, break back underneath. You can see this fake out once again for a pushback down in towards that 180. So coming into market open here, let's go on to the lower time frames. What I do have marked out, here today is going to be that 184. As I mentioned, if we can maintain above that 184, we can see some continuation up and towards that previous day highs. Another possible scenario, longs are in play here above our previous day highs, 186, for continuation higher here as well. So this is what we can have marked out. If we do want to see some downside, pop and fade off that 186, or now you'd be interested more off that fake out on the higher time frames underneath 184 for a push down in towards that previous day lows, 182. As for AMD, another one above our previous day highs, higher time frame key level here as well, which is that 204. You can see on the higher time frames, in a very key point of interest here. A lot of the semis, this is your previous high that we created here on Monday. If we do want to see some upside, right, you can see buyers did step in yesterday, but we're kind of just basing above that level, not really with a lot of buyers. Similar thing here on Nvidia. So if you do want to see upside, maintain above this 204. If we show any sort of weak price action, we can see this reversal trade here on some of the semis. So key level today is going to be that 203, which is your Monday's highs. As I mentioned, longs are in play. Bounce here off our previous day lows for continuation, or of course, above your previous day highs for a push towards the upside. Shorts are now in play underneath our previous day lows. Rejection, we can see a push down in towards that 198 here on the higher time frames. As for Apple and the rest of the tickers, not really too much to talk about. Apple is just kind of right back into our 260. If you're looking at this on the daily chart, we're just kind of bouncing right off a key level of support here. If you look at this right on the hourly chart, key levels is just going to be that 261. If we can break and hold above, we can see a little bit of a mean reversion. I would just be a lot more cautious just because the Qs is inside the range. But key levels 261 coming into market open. As for Google, nice kind of bounce here off the lows a few days ago. Now for Google, you would like to see the break back above this earnings low. That's going to be the key level. If you do want to see some upside, it needs to break below this kind of downtrend that we're forming here as well for upside. If we reject, we can see a push down in towards that 300 key psych level once again. So key levels for Google is going to be that previous day lows. If you do want to see shorts pop and fade, or now shorts underneath 305, longs are in play above our 305 or now above this 309. As for Microsoft, as I mentioned, 200 weekly moving average, right into a key spot here on the higher time frames as well. We would like to see Microsoft, right, bounce and have a little bit of a mean reversion eventually back up in towards 420 and above. So that's the key level here on Microsoft. As for the lower time frames, not really too much to talk about here. Daily chart key levels that I have marked out 402, along with our last week's highs 412.50. So if you do want to see upside, bounce off our 402 or now above our 412 for continuation. Meta inside this range, not really too much to talk about on this one, along with the major indices. So I'd just be a little bit more cautious. Key levels 660s, along with our 647.50s. So as you can see, right in between the middle of the range, just be a little bit more cautious on Meta. As for Amazon here, we are trying to reclaim back above our 212. If we do want to see some upside here now coming to market open, at least the levels I have on the higher time frames, 212. We can also mark out that previous day highs. If you want to see some upside above our previous day highs, or now the bounce play here off our 212. And then for Netflix, the key level that we have is going to be our 98. I talked about this yesterday. Tried reclaiming right into market open, a little bit of rejection, kind of these upper wicks. Actually end up fading off this level and coming back down in towards that previous day lows, which happens to be that 96.60s. So coming to market open here on Netflix, key levels that we are going to have marked out 98, break above 98, continuation higher, potential bounce play here off our 95.50, continuation back towards the highs here as well. So this is what we have for Netflix coming into market open. We do have core CPI in about 30 seconds here now, so we'll wait for the reaction that we have off that level. All right, we do have core CPI coming in. Do you have the levels already set up as indicators, or I personally draw them out manually? You can have, there's a few indicators that can draw strict levels. I personally like drawing out areas on the chart, so it's a little bit more, I wouldn't say it's basically the exact same thing, but you're just giving it a little bit more wiggle room, and you're kind of attaching it to multiple highs instead of just having one high. Do you trade live? That's correct. Nvidia rejected. Wall Street, let's see. Core CPI coming in here as well. If you guys do have any charts or any tickers, as I mentioned, you guys can now drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate it if you guys drop a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below here as well. So we just had some core CPI data. Came in basically in line with expectations all across the board, month over month. Forecasted 0.2, actual 0.2. We have the CPI, month over month 0.3%. And of course, year over year, 2.4. Forecasted was also 2.4. So we'll see how that reacts compared to the overall market, but basically fairly neutral across the board. So not really too much of a reaction here on the Qs coming into market open. So basically the same game plan still applies coming into today. Let's keep an eye out on our 609 along with our 606 longs bounce play off our 606 or above our 609 for a push up in towards that 612. And then shorts, you could be looking for the pop and fade here off our 612, or now you'd be more interested in shorts underneath the 606 here. Another potential short off our 609. It can also reject here off that Monday's highs for a pushback towards the downside here as well. As for the SPY, similar thesis, key levels, Monday's highs 680, along with our previous day lows, rejection, continuation lower, underneath our 675, push towards the downside. If we were looking for a bounce play, bounce here off our previous day lows, and we could be looking for a continuation higher, or right longs would be above our 681, which would be a higher time frame key level here as well. Okay, with that being said, let's go on to a few tickers here now. Let's go on to Palantir. So Palantir here, basically nice bounce here off these lows, push back towards the upside. You can see consolidating in the past week. What I like to see for Palantir, if we want to maintain upside, is a hold above. Now it's going to be this 150 key psych level here on Palantir. So yesterday, key levels that we have marked out, 154. We want to see this level hold for continuation higher. Ultimately broke underneath, and we end up gravitating down in towards that 150. So Palantir here on the hourly chart, I'd say is more neutral than anything now. If we do want to see continued upside, needs to maintain above this 150, right? We need that bounce play coming to market open for a push up in towards this 154, or of course longs above our 154 for continuation higher. If let's say price bounces, rejects, you could be looking for the fade off 154, or now shorts potentially are in play underneath that 150 for that push down in towards that 146. So keep an eye out on our previous day lows coming into market open along with this 149. We can even readjust this here as well up and towards our low that we created here from earlier in the month along with our previous day lows here, 150.50. Let's go on to Oracle. So Oracle recently had some earnings, which was yesterday. We kind of mentioned potential pop back up and towards key levels. So for Oracle, what we do have here on the daily chart is, of course, we have a huge gap back towards the upside, but only up about 10% here. Key levels for Oracle that we can have marked out now is going to be just our old highs that we have marked out. So we have our 166. Next old high is going to be that 170. And we also have this gap that we created here with earnings. So what is a possible scenario here is a potential earnings reversal, since a lot of these earnings names, especially in these market conditions, have been a lot more weaker. As for the key levels coming to today, let's keep an eye out on our 165. If we do want to see longs, right, day one longs after earnings have been very difficult, especially during this earnings season. So really longs above our 165, not really in play here, especially with the high IV as well. But of course, right, longs would be above our 165. The next level that I do have is this pre-market low along with kind of our after hours key levels. So what is a possible scenario is actually a pop and fade here, back down in towards that 160. That is definitely in play for Oracle coming to market open. As you can see, this is basically just our high that we created here from last week. So we could see that retest back down in towards that 160 here. If we do want to see some upside, as I mentioned above, which is going to be fairly difficult, or now you'd be waiting for some sort of pullback and then reclaim later into the day above that 165. So this is what we have for Oracle coming into market open. As for MU, along with SNDK, a couple names I was mentioning yesterday, MU and some of these semiconductors kind of bouncing right off a key level of support, which, as you can see, buyers step in nicely above our previous day highs. You can see a nice pushback towards the upside here. So if you do want to see some continuation on some of these memory slash semiconductors, key level here is going to be our 408. As you can see, multiple touches. MU, if we do want to see some upside coming to market open, we can actually just kind of refine this level up into this 408. So if you do want to see some upside here, we need it above our 408 for continuation. Another possible scenario, come back down in towards that previous day close, reclaim back above that 408 for a push up in towards that previous day highs. If we do reject, then we can see a push down in towards that previous day close along with our previous day lows, 402 here on MU. I do like this one primarily for upside along with SNDK and a couple other names as well. So if the markets do want to bounce, these ones are going to be on main watch for a pushback towards the highs. If you are looking at SNDK, very similar setup right into a key level of support. Nice strong daily candle close here as well. So for SNDK, very similar setup. Key levels that we are going to have marked out is our 590 along with our 616 here. So key levels that we are going to have marked out, 616. If we do want to see continuation, bounce play here off our pre-market lows are now above our pre-market highs for a push up in towards that previous day highs, 635. Only way you're leaning more towards the downside will now be the break underneath this 617. So this is the key level that we can have marked out, 617 here. Only way you're interested in downside underneath 617. You can see a little bit of a mean reversion down in towards that 605. Intel, another name that looks good here, bouncing off the lows, kind of breaking out of our downtrend that we have created. So another one right into a key level of support, right into this downtrend break here as well. Yesterday, trying to break above this key level, we need to see a strong candle close if we do want to see continuation here on Intel. So the key levels that we do have marked out today is going to be our 47 here on the higher time frames. Let me just actually refine this level back down in towards our high that we created from February, and we can just drag this over. So 47 is our key psych level coming into today here for Intel. Above our 47, continuation up in towards our previous day highs and above. Another possible scenario here is consolidation, reclaim later into the day for that pushback towards the upside here as well. If we do reject, we can see a potential mean reversion, pre-market lows, and potentially our 4580 here on the higher time frames. So those are most of the tickers coming to today. As for some other names, him still holding up here as well. Nice kind of pop yesterday above our 2350. Still kind of intact here. Higher lows are being built above our 2350. Once again, potential room back up and towards our 26 here on the higher time frames. Little loss. Do you have NQ? Yes. NQ, if you scroll back up, I went over NQ earlier into the live stream. Do you have any videos showing on your home monitor setup? I just have a 3-screen layout. I think it's like in an old video way back. It must be on like one of those live trading videos that I made about a year ago. I think it's on my YouTube channel. Or it should be. I think I went over it briefly. But yeah, that is most likely going to be it for me today. As I mentioned, let's keep an eye out on our key levels coming to market open. We are fairly neutral, but we're going to keep an eye out on our 609 along with our 606. We're just going to be a lot more cautious of right bounces, rejections at key levels of resistance, since basically that's what the market's been doing the past couple of weeks here. So nothing's really changed in terms of mean reversion / reversals. As for some of the main watches today, let's keep an eye out on Tesla around this 401, right? Nvidia key level, let's keep an eye on this 184. We can see right higher time frame level of resistance. We are kind of rejecting off this level, so let's just keep an eye on the reaction coming into market open. AMD here as well above our 203. As for everything else, if we do want to see some upside, I personally like the semis a lot more compared to the overall market. So like MU, SNDK, right, Intel. If we do want to see any sort of strength, these ones are in play above key levels, which would be, of course, 47 here on Intel, and then S&DK 615 MU 407. But yeah, besides that, we'll see what kind of shapes up today. We didn't have too much of a move in the overnight session. So hopefully we can see some nice price action coming to market open here in the New York session. Yeah, besides that, I'm going to call it a day here. I'll be on my travel setup the next 2 days, so we'll still have these pre-market preps, but I will be traveling for the meetup that we have, which is super exciting. But yeah, that's going to be it for me today. I'm going to call it a day here, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow. All right, take care, everyone. Peace.